Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WBC Talk. This is round number 29. And this time we have one of my favorite fighters in the world. I gotta be honest.
Thank you.
But first, let me introduce 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡 𝗪𝗓𝗪. She's the director of the WBC University. 𝗧𝗔𝗟, welcome.
Hi, Victor. Hi, Jill. Hi, Christy. Well, it's Monday, and today I'm going to start with this positive message that is now a tradition in these WBC talks. And this small reflection helps us to make a pause every day and to be able to analyze the situation that we are all living from different perspectives. Today, we will make a reflection on what the Olympic philosophy offers us in this time of crisis. Olympism is a philosophy of life that combines in an harmonious way the qualities of the body, the mind, and the spirit. Olympism also proposes humanity to create a lifestyle based first in the joy of effort, the value of education, the good example, social responsibility, and respect for the universal ethical principles. It also promotes sport at the service of development of humanity with the vision of having a more peaceful society concerned with the preservation of human dignity. I am excited when I was preparing this capsule to learn more of the Olympic movement and how it can help us during the current moment of change that we all are experiencing. I will share with you some brief lessons that the Olympic movement offers. First, we can adopt some of their values. Okay, values such as excellence, which teach us to give the best of us with what we have. Respect to all people. In friendship, it is necessary to have empathy and try to bond with other people. Another lesson can be to have a healthy mind in a well-trained body. We must recognize that the body needs movement, mainly in moments of confinement. It is good to train the mind as we are learning here. It is positive, but also it is necessary to exercise the body. Another lesson can be faster, higher, and stronger. Like athletes, we need to beat ourselves every day, apply strategies of self-evaluation every day to become better human beings. And for last, a small lesson, well, rejoice in humanity. Experience a constant reborn of your spirit. Have faith in yourself and mix your hopes with your dreams. I think this is a good reflection to begin the week that will help us to be happy, to be healthy, to enjoy the moment that we're living, and to experience with the best you can do and with the best that we all have. Have a great panel and have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Victor. Jill.
Thank you, 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗓.
Thank you.
I hope my hopes and dreams will come together. I love that line. To meet your hopes and your dreams.
Yes.
And now, here's with us, as usual, Jill Diamond. Jill. Hey.
I am so excited today to have Christy here.
I know, me too, you know that.
Okay,
So,
go ahead, Christy. Go ahead, Victor, you go first.
I would like to introduce her as a fighter. So that's the reason I want to enjoy this. And now with us, with 49 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws, 31 knockouts, from is Bluefield, West Virginia.
Right.
Christy Salters Martin with us.
Thank you. Yay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm always Always happy to be with the WBC family.
So there's no other name more associated with women's boxing than Christy Martin. No other name. You're the only woman that was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, the coal miner's daughter who rose from coal dust and turned it into diamonds when no one was even paying attention to women's sports, let alone women's boxing. Amazing. And my understanding was that in 1996, the WBC said that voted you as the best woman boxer in the world. And the Daily News said that you were the one that put women's boxing on the map. That's what I got to say, and we can leave. But Christy, I ask you one thing, given all this going on. Firstly, where are you? How are you? And what do you miss the most?
Wow. Well, I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm fine physically, you know, mentally. It's tough. It's tough. And what I miss the most from the slowdown, the quarantine, the shutdown is just the interaction. You know, we were going to fight somewhere almost every weekend, and to just not have that camaraderie, you know, the fighters, we need to be together. And so it's hard. It's like, wow, you know, we've been in, I don't know, lockdown, you know, I just can't wait to be able to go out to a big fight somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I think it must be harder for people like yourself who are so physical, also so energetic and always in contact with people, to all of a sudden shut it down. And do you think you've learned anything special during this period of time that you've had to kind of put the ropes around it?
You know what, I have used the time, and at first I didn't. I did nothing but complain about I have nothing to do and being shut down and then finally one day I realized you're wasting the time that God's given you, and this is the time that's been given to you to really reflect back on what has happened. You know, with the whole domestic violence thing that happened to me. I never took the time to slow down and stop and deal with me. I just wanted to keep going and never actually process what had happened. So I've taken time. I've worked on that. I've worked with me as the person. I've worked on a domestic violence speech that I go around and I talk about domestic violence awareness at shelters, at prisons, at schools, any place and every place that people will have me and let me talk about how we need to stop domestic violence. So I've tried to use the time positive, but thank God it looks as though I'm going to have a show July 11th.
I saw the poster for that. And don't forget it, we'll talk about it later, but your plank challenge.
We have a plank challenge, Christy's Champs, which is my nonprofit organization, and we're raising money. And what we're doing with the money, we've had a 4-week challenge. So we've gone through the plank. Lisa did push-ups last week. And this week we have a little speedster, J-Rock, that has put on a show with the jump rope. So, you know, he's out there challenging. He's just a little guy, like 14 years old. So, you know, he's tried to show up everybody, but I'm sure if we can get the Sean Porters and those, you know, Shane Mosleys and those guys to come on and do a little jump rope for us, that'd be great. But, you know, we're just raising money to try to help. We're setting up programs all across the country where we take kids from domestic violence shelters and bring them to a local boxing gym. And the great thing is we have had so much support from local boxing gyms that want to get on board with this. You know, it's a time for the kids to be away. It's a chance for them to bond with other people. And it's a way for them to start to learn how to use physical assertiveness in a positive way and not negatively.
So you don't agree with the people who say that keep boxing away from kids?
You know, I fight that fight almost every day because I'm talking to somebody trying to sell my program. And when I say sell it, I mean convince them that it's positive. But I lived it. I mean, I did it. I was the coach in a boxing gym for over 20 years. And that's what I miss the most. Those kids that would come in every day from school. And I asked them, you know, what did you learn at school today? Did you go to school? And I made them tell me something. Just telling me, yeah, I went to school today wasn't good enough. I needed to know something that they talked about at school. So I really knew they went there. And that's what I miss those kids so much. But this is a way of I can get back involved with the youth, and it's a part of the youth that needs our help and guidance more than anything.
So we started in the middle. I want to start at the beginning, right, Victor? So
Yes.
Was that in 1987, when you were at college, you were convinced to partake in an amateur contest, which you won years and years in a row. Is that the way you started with boxing, with this amateur contest in college?
I was in college. Right. I was in college, and the truth is, I mean, that was actually Jim Martin's story. He wanted to sensationalize it a little bit and say that someone dared me to enter in and all that. But that really wasn't the truth. The truth was I just wanted to do it because everybody said I couldn't. And I'm one of those, the more you tell me I can't do something, sit down and watch, take pictures because I'm going to do it. And that was it. You know, I just wanted to do it. I thought it was the biggest challenge ever. And I was, you know, signed up. And that's exactly what I fought, tough women, like barroom brawler kind of women. But I was an athlete, so I was in better condition and able to win really on guts and not skill, just guts.
What sports were you involved with before boxing?
I played basketball in high school and college, and I played a little softball, but not much. But really, my focus was basketball.
So growing up, who were your role models? Who did you?
Yeah, my dad. My dad is a great man, and he taught me about work ethic. And you know, he's a coal miner and just worked hard every day. I mean, there was not a day if the sun comes up, my dad was going to work. And he would work all day, and then like we had a garden when I was young, and so he would go to work in the coal mines, come home and work in the garden and stuff like that. So I mean, I understood tough from the beginning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what did your family think of your chosen profession? I mean, there were not a lot of women boxers around at that time.
Right. My dad always told me that I could be anything I wanted to be. And I mean, I think when he said that, he was like probably talking about a doctor, a lawyer, you know, some like nice profession. But he was supportive. He was like, if you want to do this boxing, just be in shape, get with a trainer that can teach you some good skills, and be ready because it's dangerous.
Here we go.
And how hard it was to get into a boxing gym at that time for you?
So I think I had 7 professional boxing matches before I had ever been in a boxing gym. And part of that was because I really didn't understand the seriousness of boxing myself. I knew I'd love the challenge, but I really didn't understand. I mean, thank God I didn't run into somebody that was like me when I had never been in a boxing gym. I could have really gotten hurt. Yeah, I just, as time went on, I started to think, oh my goodness, you know, I was so lucky those first 5 or 6, 7 fights that I didn't really fight somebody really, really skilled. I fought Henry DeShong, who was she had been in the gym. She had had several fights, so she was pretty good. But
What can you tell us about this picture?
With Laura?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Laura's a tough fighter. She was good. You know, everybody, it's funny because everybody talks about that was her first pro fight, but I just recently did a documentary about Laura with a group from Mexico, and they kind of slipped up and they told me, I know it wasn't her first pro fight, or her first fight. And they slipped up and told me, yeah, she used to fight in bars in Mexico. And I went, oh yeah. And it's funny because everybody wants to say that was her first time in the ring when she fought me. But she's a good fighter. She was tough. I had no idea she was a southpaw until I got in the ring, but that's no excuse. Good fighter, you know. I did not like southpaws before I fought her, and I still don't like southpaws today.
Who was your?
May 7th, 1994 at the MGM.
Yes, I think that was on the undercard of Chavez and Randall too.
So I want to hear all about the 90s. I want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. You're coming up at the time. There are very few. And then that picture of you on Sports Illustrated. How did that happen?
Right. That's a great question because, you know, remember, I'm from a small town in southern West Virginia, coal miner's daughter. I had 86 people that graduated in my high school class. So to go from that to being on the cover of Sports Illustrated was really unbelievable. I graduated in 1986, so in 96, 10 years later, I'm on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Crazy, but I just happened to be training in a gym in Daytona Beach, Florida. Jesse Robinson, who trained a lot of heavyweights for Don King in the 90s, happened to see me fight, or to spar. He came in, and I had my hair all twisted up. My hair was long then. I had it twisted up and under my headgear. And he said, who's that guy? And some of the people in the gym kind of laughed and said, that's not a guy, that's Christy. And so we struck up a friendship, and he would come to the gym, and he ended up, he was like, you know what, we need to get you to Don King. We need to get you to Don King. But Mike Tyson was in jail at that time. So it was a little touch and go for a minute. I went over and fought on a card with Jackie Callan up at the Palace in Detroit, which was great. And I was real close to signing with Jackie right when Don King called. And even though Jackie did great things and has accomplished so much, I was like, this is Don King. And he's a promoter. Jackie's a manager. So I went the Don King route.
Any regrets?
That I went the Don King route? No, I think I think Don King was a good fit for me because you know what? He just put me out there. He treated me like a fighter. He it was sink or swim, and lots of times there was just that, sink or swim. It's on you. I don't feel like he babied me. I don't feel like I got any special treatment. Probably sometimes I got less treatment, but I think it ended up being a good fit.
And you still want to fight?
Almost every morning I wake up thinking that, I'll just do it one more time. Actually, I just sent a message to Kiki, Mike Tyson's wife, and I hear that Mike Tyson is training a little bit, thinking about doing some charity bouts to raise money for all the people with the coronavirus, that need help. And so I sent Kiki a message. I'm like, Kiki, I would love to be, it was funny. I said, I would love to be Mike's first opponent. I would like to be the first one on Mike's show. And then I changed it and I said, I don't mean opponent. I mean, I want to open the show for him like I did in the 90s. But it almost read like I wanted to be his opponent. And, I don't care how old that guy gets. I don't think anybody wants him to be hit by Mike Tyson.
No, I don't think so.
He carries around sledgehammers.
Absolutely. So what was the turning point for you when you finally decided, okay, no more boxing. I have to move on. I have to rethink and restart. I mean, the canvas is blank. I'm going to put something new there. What was that turning point for you?
Yeah. It's very complicated, Jill, because really as my career had started to wind down, I wanted away from Jim Martin. I wanted out of that marriage so badly. And then I started with cocaine and became addicted to cocaine and really gave away about 4 years of my life to that drug and to Jim Martin. And I just finally one day walked by a mirror and looked at myself and said, you look like an addict. And then I was like, no, you are an addict. And it was like, you're going to get clean. And at that point I was like, I'm going back to the gym. I'm going back to the streets. I'm straight, like running. And I'm going to get back in shape and I'm going to get away from Jim Martin. And that's what I did. And with that being said, he had told me for 20 years, if ever I left him, he would kill me. And it didn't matter why I left him. If I left him for somebody, male or female, or just leaving him, he was going to kill me if ever I left. And I was so low and such a point in my life that I didn't care. And I left knowing that he would kill me. And, when I came back, he tried. And by the grace of God, I'm here and got to have a couple more fights, tried hard to get that 50th win and failed.
Well, your ankle was cut up. I mean, you had some physical damage from what happened.
I had damage, but those things it's really just no excuses. It's,
but there are reasons.
Yeah, so I tried hard to get those 2 wins, or two, I did 2 different times. I tried to get the 50th win and failed. And then finally, I was like, I had a stroke, and then I was like, the only way I can stay connected to boxing is to become a promoter, and that's what I'm trying to do. But I said from the day that I woke up in the hospital, that God left me here for a reason, and that reason was to help other people that are in the same situation with domestic violence that I was in. And that's why I like to go out there, talk about domestic violence awareness, share my story. And like, so many people think, like, how can it happen to me? And I tell them, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. And that's the whole thing. You have to realize, these women have to realize that it can happen to anyone, and it does touch every class, every socioeconomic class, everybody that woke up this morning knows someone that's in a domestic violence situation. I will bet you that.
And not just women, children, old people. I mean,
Absolutely.
the prey on people weaker than us is one of the most horrendous aspects of human nature.
And
all that far.
And people don't understand, it is not just about bruises. It's about the mental. And that's what Jim did with me. Mine was much more emotional and control. And, I would go get my hair done and look over my shoulder, or look at the door, and here he comes in. I go to Walmart, he's following me. Those things people maybe don't understand. That's abuse. That's control. There's something wrong.
Did you have that confide in that believed you and that assisted you at all?
It was a touchy situation, because I didn't know who I could go to. I didn't know who I could really trust, and then I didn't want someone to say something back to him, because we knew most of the same people. Clearly, I mean, we were married for 20 years, so it was hard, and it was just one of those things that finally I had to just go.
It's something that many people that saw you on the ring, the kind of fighter, the aggressive fighter, a woman that can really punch on the ring, it doesn't really match in the beginning the kind of abuse that you admit at home. And how did you handle that? How you were maybe 2 different persons, or it's just a program on the ring and then at home is different?
Clearly it was like 2 different people, because out in the public, I tried to put on this happy face and a strong persona, but behind the doors, it was like I was so controlled, and it wasn't physical so much, a few times, until it really was physical, until he shot me and stabbed me, and then it was very physical. But yeah, that's what people just have to understand. And it just escalates. Usually in most domestic violence situations, it starts out as, maybe kidding and, little put downs. And then it just escalates and escalates and escalates. And finally the beat down, and the mental beat down is terrible. And then it becomes physical. So it's just, if we can get more and more people out there to, just to be aware, maybe it's one of your coworkers that jokingly puts down their wife every time she's around. Well, at some point, you need to call him on it. And hey, that's not cool.
Well, if one of the women in the world can get up there and admit this, I think it does a lot in terms of letting other people open up about it. But Christy, we're going to come back to this, but we have a little bit of a surprise for you, because we know this was a beautiful year, the first year that women were going to be nominated and won at the International Boxing Hall of Fame. So we've brought Ed onto the show. He can make
cool.
In front of everybody.
Cool.
This is Ed Brophy, the president of the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
Hello, Jill, and wishing Christy a great day, great interview. Always great to hear her talk and tell her stories. Fantastic career, and so excited that she's among the first inductees of female boxers to go into the Hall of Fame. It's a historic year, and we're going to be recognizing it throughout the year, and the big celebration will be coming next year.
That's great.
You know, I think being in the inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame is more than a dream come true.
That is the
I can.
thing, right?
It is. I mean, you know, I remember back in 1996, I was the Grand Marshal for the Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, and at that point, Seth Polanski was the PR guy that worked with me through Showtime, and he called me early in the week, and I'm sure Ed's heard this story, and maybe everybody has, but he called me originally, and he told me they want me to come be the Grand Marshal, and I told him no, I cannot do that, and he said, Christy, you don't understand? I'm like, yes, I do understand, and I can't do it. And he said, why? I said, because those old time legends, they do not even want women boxing. They don't like women boxers. They don't want anything to do with women's boxing. And so finally, you know, Seth leaned on me hard enough, and I said, yes, I'll come. And I came with like so timid and just scared to death. And those guys, those legends, oh my God, treated me like their granddaughter. And to have those guys, Carmen Basilio, Marvin Hagler, I mean, they told me, we like how you throw a left hook. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, they even know that I throw a left hook. It was just unbelievable. And to get to sit there and listen to stories from Willie Pep, and I mean, the list goes on and on that I was able to meet through the Boxing Hall of Fame, and over the many years that followed 1996 of being a guest. It's been a great experience.
It's one of the sweetest weekends of the year. Ed, when will we be celebrating Christy's induction, not nomination? When will we celebrate it?
Yes, next year, this weekend is scheduled for the 10th through the 13th. And for all reasons, we had to put this one off. Everybody understood. Baseball Hall of Fame just announced they're going into the next year, doubling up. It's something we all have to do. It's going to be a great time and a historic time because it's honoring the class of 2020 along with the 2021 class and all the bells and whistles that Canastota puts on with all its volunteers. So Christy's been so many times back to Canastota, she mentioned, and I want to go back to what she mentioned when the first time when she came is that and for each year after, how all the great legends from Willie Pep, Jake LaMotta, Archie Moore, all the great legends would spend time in talking to her and admiring her career because Christy fought with such style of a great fighter. And it was so easy to be picked up by the legends of yesterday. And so they were intrigued with the way she fought and her style. And they wanted to spend time with her and compliment her and ask her things because when a good fighter comes along, whether you're a legend or a fan, you notice it. And they noticed that what a great fighter that she was. And she was yet to peak at her best. And they saw in her what a great fighter she was. So that's why that communication happened and that respect happened. And over the years, the fans have just loved Christy and the volunteers, you know, she's one of the favorites. And she's almost like a resident of Canastota because she's been here so many times and all the volunteers love her. And but her fighting ability was captured and admired by the legends. Every legend that has been inducted in the Hall of Fame, been here, all really spent time with Christy because they recognized what a great fighter she was and they were really impressed with her. So I wanted to go back and add on to what Christy was saying because that's why they spent time with her is because she was a great, great fighter.
Thank you, Ed.
Let's just let that settle in. That's amazing. That's great to hear. Great to hear. So, Christy, tell me about one fight. Tell me about the $1 Million Lady fight. I was supposed to supervise that fight, and I remember what happened there. We were looking forward to that one.
Right. Well, clearly, I was looking forward to that. That was for $1 million. The winner gets $1 million. The loser gets, I think it was $250 or something. I can't remember. I didn't care because I knew I was going to be the winner. You know, Lucia Riker chased me throughout my entire career, and this is just the fighter in me right now. All right, she chased me. And at the press conference when we were announcing the fight at the Mandalay Bay, I looked at her and I told her, "You're just like that little dog that chases the car. All right, you've caught the car. Now what are you gonna do with me?" And guess what? She did with me. She pulled out, and she never tried to reschedule the fight. So, you know, this isn't like Hagler Hearns Hearns Leonard. It wasn't a great fight that ever materialized. And I get so much shit, to be honest, that I didn't make the fight. And the greatest thing just happened. I'm working with Ron Borges. We're writing a book for my life. And Ron just spoke with Don King. And King told him that after the meeting, he walked out and he said, Lucia Riker is never going to fight Christy Martin. And that's exactly what happened. Lucia Riker never fought Christy Martin. And once she pulled out of that fight, she knew she could never fight again because she would have to fight me. So she chose to retire.
And who was your biggest fight? I mean, who was the toughest fight that you had?
You know, Jill, probably my toughest fight was me every time. Man, everybody was hard. Even guys or girls I thought were going to bring their B game or C game, they show up with their A+ when it was time to fight me. But of course, Layla was huge. I had no idea, really, when I signed the contract, how big Layla was or is. Layla's a big woman. So that was, clearly that was a hard fight. But they were all hard. I mean, Gogarty, she clearly made my career because she was tough as nails and a good fighter, a skilled fighter, and a quality person.
You know, you were one of the few women boxers back then, even now, that are really taken seriously. In a strange way, I got involved with boxing because of you. Because when I walked into the gym the first time, I kept saying, here are all these women boxing. I've never heard of anybody but Christy Martin. And I said,
Yeah.
Something about that. I tell that story all the time. But do you think that women in sports in general will ever be taken as seriously as the men or be as validated as the men? What is your feeling about that?
Wow. I think maybe there's certain sports that women will be able to cross over or have crossed over more easily than others. But contact sports like boxing, it's going to be hard. I mean, it's going to be hard for a woman to ever to be able to sell the tickets and bring the excitement and interest to the arena that a male fighter can bring. But like tennis, I mean, the women in tennis, they pack the house and usually are better matches and more exciting than the male matches. Basketball is growing, but is it ever really going to get to that place? I'm not sure. I don't know, Jill. I think it's always going to be a battle for women athletes to get respect.
Well, now that you're so involved with your amateurs, what do you tell the young girls that you're training? I mean, the last time I went to your event, you had 3 rings. Now you're moving to 4 rings. You keep growing the event. It's the sweetest event.
That's the whole thing. I mean, this amateur boxing tournament, we're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping that we're able to have it, I think July 25th in North Carolina. It just keeps growing. We have the WBC Cares, title boxing, a lot of support, a lot of interest. It's actually supposed to be the first tournament back, with the traveling and USA Boxing. But these young girls, it's amazing. I mean, they're fighters now at 8 and 9 years old. They're learning how to fight. But this goes back to trainers now see that they can make money with women fighters.
Right.
They also see that, the women fighters can now go to the Olympics. These are things, maybe I'm going to, as a trainer, they're thinking, well, whatever it takes for me to make my name as a trainer. And so they're more open to work with the female fighters. I mean, even me in the 90s, I went and I was already with Don King and had already fought Gogarty. There were still boxing gyms that they told me that I could not come into. So, these girls now have no idea of all the doors that we knocked down, and the ones way before me too. But, it took us all just to keep knocking down doors for them to have the opportunity to come out and box like no one gives it a second thought.
So she's creating more winners for you, Ed.
Yes, future Hall of Famers.
Future Hall of
Absolutely.
Famers. See a lot of that. We want to see definitely a lot of that. So the one thing we didn't really discuss was during this period of time, you were taken seriously. What was the pressure like? I'm sure there was beauty to it and there was high moments to it, but what was the pressure like carrying women's boxing on your shoulders?
Well, you know, I just wanted to be a fighter. I just wanted to fit in. I for the good or bad of it, I just wanted people to see me as a fighter and not so much as a woman fighter. I felt like I was promoting women's boxing every time I got into the ring, and I didn't have to say, look at me, I'm a woman fighter. That was obvious. But I also felt like I had to be punching. I had to be exciting from bell to bell because everybody was looking for me to make a mistake. Everybody was looking for me to do something stupid, turn my back, cry, something. They wanted some reason to not allow me to be part of the shows.
Sugar Ray Leonard said that he was Ray Leonard at home, but he was Sugar Ray on the ring. And it was two different persons. He has to do that not to get involved and to believe that he was the best at home, on street, or everywhere. And did it happen to you too?
I absolutely. I think it's Christy Martin that's out there to the public and to the boxing world, and like Christy Martin is much braver and more outspoken and more confident than Christy Salters. But Christy Salters is the one that's at home and that's real.
And after the terrible, terrible situation you went with Jim, you found out who your friends really were. I mean, that was a real life changer for you. Not everybody rounded around you and just said, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was the whole thing was just so terrible. And you really, really had to pull yourself together. And meeting Lisa, how has that changed your life?
Yeah, you know what, the amazing thing was Jim had told me for 20 years that, you know, by exposing me as a lesbian and that the whole world, and especially the boxing world, would turn against me. I'm going to tell you this. Now, what people might say behind my back, clearly I don't know. But from the moment that I was on my hospital bed, waking up from being shot and stabbed, I started getting messages on Facebook from the boxing world, because that was my world. And it was so many, are you okay? We're praying for you. I mean, so much positive. There has been very, very little negative that's come back to me. Mostly everybody's been very supportive and very happy. And they're just like, you know what? We're just glad you're alive. And if you're happy, good, we're happy for you. Lisa's a strong woman. You know, we fought each other back in 2001 on the Rockman-Lewis undercard rematch. So I know how strong she is, physically and mentally. I tried to mentally get into her mind and make her very angry before the fight. I don't do that these days. But she's strong. She's mentally, she's very supportive. She wants me to be out there and be Christy Martin and do the promotion and do the boxing thing and be happy. And she pushes me. Sometimes when I tell her I can't do it, she doesn't hear I can't. She won't accept that. And she just pushes me to go out there and get it done. And sometimes I get a little bit with her, and I would say, you know, get that. I'm going to show you attitude. So she knows the right buttons to push to keep me going. I'm gonna be knocking on Ed Brophy's door as a promoter one of these years.
Would you say this is one of the happiest times of your life? Most comfortable?
Clearly.
You feel
Clearly,
comfortable?
Absolutely, for the first time ever, because I have no secrets. You know, I have no secrets. I have nothing to hide. I have, hey, I'm just me now. I'm just me now.
And it's working,
and it's a good place. It's a good place for me to be, even though mentally I'm still a little wacky sometimes, but it's a good place for me.
And you know, you've done so many CARES stuff for us, and you're going to do one in relation to your fight too with the hospital, with the pediatric ward. Hopefully that will still go on given the pandemic. I know
we hope to.
We
hope to. Yes, we hope to. It's at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. hopefully Women's and Children's Hospital. So hopefully we're able to do a WBC Cares event with those children. If not, we actually have a backup group on hold that I need to talk to you about, but it's like some kids at Harnett County PAL program. There's about 150 of them. So we have a backup plan.
All needed. It's not a backup. It's an addition to.
All right, there you go. There you go. Yes.
So
Christy,
go, Victor.
how would you describe your life with your ups and downs? And you were the biggest star, and then happened what happened, and now you're happy and you're helping kids, and it's up and downs. And at some point, as you said, there was Christy Martin on the ring, but now it's the real you. How would you describe your life?
It definitely has been a crazy roller coaster ride of ups and downs. And even when I was up at the highest points and fighting in Madison Square Garden, you know, working out at Times Square, fighting on the Tyson undercards, and all this awesome stuff was happening on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Behind the closed doors, it was hell. So even when it looked like I was on top of the world, you know, as I say, the world was on top of me. So hopefully now it seems like it's a little more, everything is a little more level and is positive. I mean, my whole thing is, how can we help other people in domestic violence situations? How can we help these kids get to a boxing gym? Because for whatever reason, like Jill said, you know, people don't think boxing's gonna save kids. Do some of the research, the PAL programs. How many of these champions, how many contenders do we know that came up through PAL programs, and it kept them off the streets? It kept them out of drug houses. It gave them a family.
See, that's the problem. There are no metrics on things like that, only on failure. You can't say this kid wouldn't be such a great kid had he not. So it's very difficult for us to prove. We know it we see their faces. We see how their lives change. You know,
and we hear the stories over and over and over about fighters. We'll talk about how boxing saved their life, but it's a tough sell, but we just have to keep selling.
And how boxers like yourselves save their lives, because it's not like when these $1 million football players walk in and whatever. You come in, you're authentic, you came from a background they identify with, they believe what you have to say. It's very effective when you share with these young people. It's very effective.
I think, I'm going to listen to somebody that's walked the walk before.
Exactly.
Somebody that just wants to come in and tell me because they read it in a book. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time and your effort. But if somebody's lived it, they may not be able to talk. I may not be the most eloquent speaker, and I'm not, but I'm real. And people can, I think people feel that from me when I'm talking to them about domestic violence, about how to help other people, about how to be aware and make a change. I think they can feel it.
So when you do these events with domestic violence, and now you're doing the plank, I'm calling it the plank challenge, the fitness.
You're right.
How is that going? And does it open it up for you, or is it cathartic when you talk about these things to people?
It's cathartic. It's cathartic, really. I mean, I always say that when I leave a place, sometimes it's the jail, and you know, some of the people, ladies will come to me and they'll say, you know, thank you for coming, and it really helped me. But really, the truth is, by the time I get into the parking lot, I'm like in tears, because it's not what I've done for them; it's what they did for me. But yeah, I mean, with this whole challenge, the whole plank challenge, you know, like we're raising money to buy some computers for, not only do we have the kids come into the gym to do boxing, but we have computers so they can we have tutors come in, we have mentors. I mean, Christy's Champs is really, we want to make a difference, because so many PAL programs are getting cut out. We want to fill that void, because I know how important boxing is. I know how many lives it's changed.
Do we have any pictures of the plank program? I think there should be a picture.
Let me check with Gilbert, and we'll get him. Meanwhile, I would like to say that Stephen Pryor, the Aaron Pryor's son,
yes,
wants to thank you for attending his father's funeral. he always had that in his heart.
Sweet.
AP was great, and he's just one of those legends that I got to really bond with him and his wife Frankie through the years at the Hall of Fame. Actually, I was in their wedding. I mean, that's probably the biggest honor that boxing gave me, to get to be in Aaron Pryor and Frankie's wedding. It was really cool, and we did it at the Hall of Fame grounds. I think it was in 1997 maybe, but it was awesome. It was awesome. And AP Jr. there, yeah, I miss him.
Can you name some of the people who really are close to your heart in the community?
Oh my goodness. Really, the truth is, all of you WBC, the whole WBC family, but I really stay close with Frankie Pryor, and you know, I send messages to Kay and Marvin Hagler. You know, I try to stay. I try to stay in touch with as many of the great legends that I've had the honor to meet as possible.
Okay, the obvious. Has it been worth it? Any regrets? Oh,
The
wait,
only regret,
plank challenge.
plank challenge.
Important.
Yes. You know, we had a guy that did a 40-minute plank.
Wow.
40 minutes. I did a whopping 3 minutes and 20 seconds, I think it was.
By the way, I have to apologize. If you see me sinking, it's because I have a dog here playing with the up and down on my chair. So we're working from home. I can't avoid it. So that's why I'm fidgeting a little bit. I'm trying to keep him down. So,
Look at this picture with Don Jose,
Right.
Pipino Cuevas, Carlos Zárate.
this was in at the International Children's Hospital as part of Channel 5's Channel 5 Fox Deporte, I think, did a thing of the best boxers, and we were all there and we visited the hospital. This was a great moment. It was a
Yes.
the big thing of toys and everything that we wheeled in there. And in the
The
background,
WBC Cares program is so awesome, and it does so much for so many people. I mean, those kids, just the ones I've been to, they just light up when somebody comes in to visit them, because unfortunately, many of them, they don't have visitors. They don't have a parent or a friend or somebody that's able to be there with them all the time. So when they have visitors come by and they get to hold the belts and gloves and things like that, you can just see the excitement in their face.
you were one of Jose's most special people. I tell you that. And when you were hurt, he called me constantly as if I had a hotline to your hospital just to see how you are. I mean, he was completely in love with you.
I was very blessed to have been able to be part of the WBC family and to meet, Mr. Senior Sulaimán was so great to me. I mean, he just took me in because why? He didn't have to. Why did he say the WBC, you know, we're going to name you the female fighter champion in 1996? We weren't doing female fights then. The support was great. The support, but I hope that he did that because he could feel that I had a fighter's heart.
Absolutely. He felt something in you. He sensed something in you. I mean, he loved fighters. I mean, he wouldn't have done it unless he acknowledged the strength inside of you and saw the vision of who you are and the role model that you are. You still are. You still are. It's still like if people say women's boxing, they go, Christy Martin, Christy.
Wow.
Absolutely. So now
And
go ahead.
You can tell in the conventions, Laura Serrano, everybody gets near to you. Everybody wants to get a picture with you, and you can sense that. And I have to say, I have many fighters, friend fighters that I admire, but I have two special role models for me. and one of them is Julio Cesar Chavez. He's a good friend of mine. I know him since long ago. I've been in his house. I helped him at some point with his addictions, and I took care of him with that. And he said once that he survived $100 million.
Wow.
But the other is you. I really admire you. I've been around you in the conventions, and it's not just what you did in boxing that is awesome. It's great, but what you did in life, it's the whole concept, the whole person. It's what I really admire you, and I have to be honest. I admire Julio for that reason, and I admire you because you survive, and you are such a kind person after everything. Look at that smile. That's exactly what I meant.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it because so much. My time with Jim, he told me how everyone was against me, and the world didn't like me, and the boxing world didn't like me, and I mean, so now when I feel different about it, I feel like I realized he wasn't telling the truth, because number one, a lot of those people didn't know me, and now at least people get to see the real me. And I mean, I'm very opinionated on some things, but I'm not a bad person. And I do, hey, I'm here because God has a plan for me. And I really believe that plan is to help others. And I don't know anybody that thinks that's their life plan, that's a bad person.
Well, I think isn't that the mode of those type of people, to diminish and control, to isolate a person who has greatness? The only way you can keep them in control is to isolate them. So that's probably what they did.
And I was involved with two very strong minded men, and that was Jim Martin and Don King. I mean, there were points when I wanted to have an agent, and I wanted to, I needed my boxing career to get bigger. I wanted to get bigger. Of course, we didn't have social media back in the 90s and things like that, but I wanted to get out there and not just be a boxer. I wanted to do more, and King wouldn't allow that stuff. And Jim didn't want me to do that stuff either, because he didn't want to lose control.
Right.
So, it was.
So I take you back to my other question. Regrets, was it worth it? The whole ride, where it's taken to you now?
If I had to go through everything that I went through to get here today, I'm good with it. I'm good with it, because I'm in a good place.
Great.
I'm in a great place.
Makes me personally happy, because I adore you, and I just
Thank you.
are a role model. There's no doubt about it. Beyond survivor, you're not a survivor. You're someone who's recreated and taken on life in a different way. So it's amazing.
Well, I tell you what, I'm not a victim.
No.
I'm a survivor. I am a survivor plus. I'll give it that. We'll give it that. But I'm not a victim.
Victor, do you have any more questions for Christy?
Ed, do you want to say something?
Well, I would just like to say to Christy that, an outstanding career. You gave so much to the sport. I mentioned early on when you were coming and the champions recognized that you were a great fighter and you hadn't even peaked yet. And then you became even greater then the first time they met you, and they admire you even more. You had a great career. But now that the career's been over and you continue to be energized and do all the great things you're doing for boxing, you haven't even peaked yet for all the good things you're going to do outside the ring since you've been retired. And you've already done a lot, but with your energy and your kindness and your experience and your knowledge and what you've been doing and promoting and helping the young ones, it's so beneficial to the sport of boxing. And boxing needs it, and it needs you to continue to do what you're doing. And boxing will continue to be the greatest sport because of people like yourself. So the best to you, and continue to do what you're doing. We all need you. Boxing needs you, and the best to you, because you've done a great job ever since you've got out of the ring, and we're rooting you all the way because we need you in boxing.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ed, and hopefully, we can keep on getting bigger and bigger and make the amateur tournament bigger, like Jill said, and then the promotions. We're right there knocking on the door. We're about to find a champion, and so who knows, you'll be seeing us on TV soon.
So
Right.
it looks like you should give this woman an award. What do you?
She's going to have a big award coming up, and she's going to be remembered for many, many generations. And she's it's so exciting just to know that she's among the first female boxers to be elected into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations again. The big celebration is going to come up around the corner. It'll be here sooner than we all think, and much better days and exciting days. And we're going to have one big celebration. But between now and then, we're going to be recognizing you throughout this year as a 2020 inductee. We got some social media ideas. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. And it's going to be educational for the young ones to learn about your career, and those who have watched your career to remember all the great achievements that you've done. So this is an exciting time, 2020, to recognize you in the class of 2020. It's a great, outstanding class.
I'm going to be there, Victor.
Yeah, me too. I hope so.
Absolutely. You can't miss this one.
No.
Not for sure.
Christy, is there anything you want to say? Anything to our audience?
You know, I just want to say thank you to everybody for all the support that I received throughout my career, for being open to watch a female fighter out there on the Mike Tyson shows, and Don King. Thank the WBC and the entire family of the WBC for every wonderful opportunity that you guys give me. And, you know, just keep a lookout, because Christy Martin Promotions is coming to town. We're going to do this. And the amateur tournament. I mean, the whole big thing. The amateur tournament's July 25th in Harnett County, North Carolina. Last year we had over 300 amateur boxers. This year, you know, we don't know where we're going to be. We really thought we were going to be close to 500 boxers, but with this whole lockdown and shutdown and stay at home, we're not sure. But if the, you know, world is open to travel, come on, let's do some boxing. What more can we do?
It was great. So Victor.
Yes, I have something to say. I want to say that I really like Christy Martin, but I love Christy Salters.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, everybody, stay home, stay safe, stay cool, and have a beautiful week. Christy, this was the best way to start the week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Elevated.
Thank you, guys.
You are an
Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Jill, thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye, guys.